veteran. I've spent time in foxholes, not knowing what's going to happen next. I've been scared beyond scared. But that is not why I sleep with the light on.
I opened the second envelope, and inside of it there was this picture from the 1930s or 40s. The only thing I recognized in this picture was me.
That's a clip from the teaser for 13 Midnights, a new anthology film featuring 13 ghostly stories that recently made its debut on Amazon Prime. The film, which features actors sharing these stories directly with you, the viewer, is the creation of Steve Scearcy, a 1972 graduate of Missouri Southern State University who now lives in Kansas City. I'm Scott Meeker with the University Relations and Marketing Office here at Missouri Southern. For this episode of MOSOunds, I had a chance to catch up with Steve on Zoom to talk about 13 Midnights, which he wrote, directed, produced, and also appears in, as well as discuss his time here at Missouri Southern.
I was raised in Webb City, and I went to Webb City High School, and I was the first person in my family that we know about to ever really go to college. And so my knowledge of higher education was MSSC. I mean, that was my knowledge of higher education. And so that's where I went. And it absolutely, for me, was the perfect fit. And I was in basically two departments. I still credit some of the professors. I don't know if they're still there. I still credit some of the professors with teaching me critical thinking, teaching me just how to look at things in different ways. And then I was in the political science / history area, but I was also in the drama down at the barn with Mr. Britsky and Mr. Hunt, Mrs. Hunt. And it was just absolutely a marvelous place for a young guy to mature and start figuring out the world.
The barn Steve refers to is the Old Barn Theater. Built in 1927, it was transformed into an intimate 144-seat theater when Missouri Southern was moved to the former Mission Hills estate. Destroyed by a fire in 1990, the barn used to host 4 productions a year, including plays, musicals, and concerts, before the opening of Taylor Performing Arts Center in 1976. Steve says he has fond memories of performing there.
You went in and, in the back, there was the costume shop and there was a couple of dressing rooms. And then you went upstairs to the theater, and it was a small, intimate theater, maybe 150. And it was just delightful. I mean, my favorite story of the barn, and this is a little off subject, but we were doing a piece, I think it was a Moliere piece. So it was from the 1700s. The men had to be in tights, and we had to have our hair kind of curled, And so this was happening where hair was being curled. This was in late spring. We had on our tights, our hair was being curled, and all of a sudden the lights started flashing, and security came running through and said, "Get to the auto department," which was right across the street, the auto body. The tornado's heading right this way. And we went tearing out of there. And of course, the auto body thing, it was kind of underground. And we went, and I mean, the tornado's right there. That little creek, Turkey Creek, I guess, is what turned the tornado. But I mean, it was right there. Stuff was flying around. But we ran in there. And of course, the auto body repair people, they didn't know what was going weather-wise. All of a sudden, though, here were a bunch of guys in tights with their hairs in curlers. And it was like, it was really uncomfortable for a minute or two.
While Steve majored in political science, he explored his passion for theater during college. He's had a varied career as a writer and producer, and is the founder of ROI Creative Group, a marketing and creative communication company in Kansas City.
So it's really been a marvelous life for a guy who loves stories. I am addicted to the power of stories, love stories, and I love to see how stories can affect people. And whether it's to make them laugh or to get them intrigued, i.e. 13 Midnights, then I'm there and all excited.
The idea for his film 13 Midnights came from a conversation with a group about an experience involving an encounter with a mysterious being and a 4-hour loss of time. It was a story that got Steve thinking about what other tales of the paranormal might be out there.
And I thought, okay, if they can have those kinds of experiences, so many people must have them, not talk about them out of fear of what's out there or fear of being labeled, well, there's a nut job. And so I just started putting the word out about, I wanted to hear their stories. And, it wasn't about exploitation, that I was going to honor what, if they told me that they saw the Jolly Green Giant in their backyard, I was going to honor that. I wasn't going to label it. I wasn't going to label them. If that was their experience, I wanted to hear it. Somebody would call me or send me an email and said, man, maybe you ought to talk to Nancy, or maybe you ought to talk to Bill. It was always maybe. It was always maybe. It wasn't go talk to Bill or go talk to Nancy. It was maybe you ought to talk with, which indicates how, sensitive kind of the subject is. Maybe you ought to talk to. And so I would call these people, and I would like to say that it's because I'm such a charming, witty guy that they agreed to speak with me. But a lot of it was they heard from the tone of my voice that I was going to be respectful. And secondly, they had a need to share. It was like something that was bottled up, and they had a need to share. And so, one thing led to another thing, and here we are. When I started collecting these stories, I thought, yeah, I'm going to develop a book. I'm going to write a book. It's going to be very cool. But as I sat in these people's living rooms or over their dining room table, and they told me the story, and I was in the space where this spooky, incredible thing happened. I mean, the hair on my arm would start raising up because I'm there and they're pointing to the wall where this apparition came through. And I thought, I can't write that. I mean, I can't give people that kind of experience. However, I can do a picture and a movie, and I can maybe impart what that experience is like hearing that story. And that's how it kind of came out.
Filmed in black and white, the cast of regional actors and actresses share the collected stories, such as a creepy reflection that haunts a barroom mirror, piano lessons that continue to haunt a man years later, and a monster that lives under the bed. Steve himself appears in the film, popping in and out as a narrator between some of the segments to address the audience. For me, his role and habit of addressing the viewer as Pumpkin was as unsettling as any of the stories told within the film.
You yourself are part of this because you serve as kind of like the MC, kind of like a Rod Serling or
Alfred.
Yeah. Was that always your intent to appear in it?
Absolutely. My nature. Okay. I know who I am after all these years. And, I'm a pretty nurturing guy, and I love people. And I love to talk to people, and I love to hear their stories. And so as I was thinking about this, I said, what if this really nice person has this non-definable but evil intent? And I thought, yeah, I can do that. I hope I could. You can tell me better than anyone.
I'll tell you, you say nurturing, and I would think of the nickname Pumpkin as a term of endearment. But say it, that was creepy. Your pronunciation of that word was as creepy as anything in the
Well, I wish, I need to somehow trademark that, because everybody, I get emails from people all over, and they always go, it starts out the same way. Hello, Pumpkin.
So was it always your intent to release it via Amazon around Halloween, or is that kind of a byproduct of kind of the state we're in right now with the pandemic?
It's partly the pandemic. It was partly also a business decision. I mean, we have talks with other people going on, and it was a decision that Amazon gave us a good deal, and it's a deal that allows us to pursue other avenues, and we are pursuing that. And 13 Midnights is going to live on beyond this into something else, a new generation of something. And so it just worked out good. And I'm glad we did it, because you never know the response, you never know, and it's really been great. I mean, people have loved it. It speaks to everybody differently. But one of the things I do like about it is the film deals a lot with, once somebody has an encounter with a unknown phenomenon of some kind, they're never the same. It changes them. And it changes them because they suddenly have to confront the idea that their reality isn't the only reality, that there's something else out there. I wrote the stories that way so that part of dealing with the unknown gets out there. But the other thing that I've come to know from people writing letters into me is that watched it. It was fun. It was scary. But the next morning when I got up and I turned on the lamp and the lamp flickered, suddenly I was back there. Even watching it, there's a little bit of a residual effect of, ooh, what was that? Or what was that noise in that other room, And that pleases me.
And that's it for this episode of MOSOunds. If you have a subscription to Amazon Prime, be sure to check out Steve's film, which you can also learn more about at 13midnights.com. Just be sure to leave a light on, and maybe keep an ear out for strange noises coming from underneath the bed. We'll be back with you soon with more stories from Lion Country.